What's going on, guys? Blazing here. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you're having a wonderful day, and thank you for joining us. And yes, I said us on another Raid Shadow Legends video. Guys, today I have the one, the only HWZ on the channel. HW, how are you doing, my man?
I'm doing awesome, bro. Thanks for having me. I love coming to talk with you about these things. So, what we got going today?
Well, yesterday on Sunday, everybody's at home relaxing, and we get this bombshell of an announcement of something's coming into Raid, even bigger than DOOMTOWER, right? Ash had an exclusive interview with Cirilla and dropped a lot of stuff on us. So I wanted to get you on the channel and kind of get your perspective and talk about what's actually going to happen. So, have you gotten the chance to watch the video yet?
I did not watch the full video. I know I said I was going to, man, but I did not. But I do, have a pretty good understanding of what was discussed, what the interview was. A lot of people in my clan have been talking about it, as well as, you kind of filled me in a bit. So definitely down to discuss it. Bigger than DOOMTOWER. DOOMTOWER was pretty big. We will see.
All right, so the first thing I want to talk about is, he asked about the 2x primals. We're getting 2x primals, but we're not getting 2x mythical champions, man. I know that we don't have that many, and I've been saving mine for a proper 2x, but what do you think? When do we actually might see a proper 2x mythicals?
It's kind of hard to say, right? It's like you said, we don't have that many in the game, but now would be the perfect time to start getting these champions, because Polarium, when they start rolling out champions, they roll them out by the ton, right? And I feel like by the time they could potentially do a 2x mythical, a lot of people who have saved their shards, obviously you'll have a better shot at getting some because you'll have more shards. But by that time, we'll have more legendaries in the game. We'll have more epics, more rares in the game. And it's not just mythicals in the pool. So I feel like now would be the time for them to do it. If people, were to have a better shot at getting it, there's over 800 champs in the game. There's only going to be more. So, but there's I honestly couldn't even say. Possibly around the time where they drop the Void Tower or whatever it's going to be called. It just says the Great Void on the map. Right?
Yeah.
Like in the clan, but it just says so possibly around that time, I feel like, because 2x mythical, it's not going to be like huge news, right? It's another summoning event. It's not going to be a big thing. So unless they have some other thing that's going to be bigger than the Void Tower, I would expect it to come out around that time. Christmas time. They like to do things at the end of the year, so maybe end of the year.
All right, so they talked about increasing the primal quartz. Now, I have my own opinion about primal quartz. I really feel like they're just a waste. Why even get them as a reward? I think, would it be that difficult to just replace them and just give us the primal shard? But they're going to increase them in the Hydra class, and they're going to actually start giving them in the chest for arena, for live arena, right? But you got to win 25 battles for it. So is it really worth it?
No, it's 100% not going to be worth it, especially for the actual reward that you're getting. Once you get a full, primal shard, no, it's not worth it. Until they make changes to the drop rates of the shard, or remove rares from the pool. I had somebody comment and say, like, if they remove rares, the value of the shard is going to go up to like $25. And I'm like, dude, I'm not thinking about how much it's going to cost to buy, because I'm not buying them. I'm thinking about, the value for what I'm going to get for my time spent in game trying to get these things, without spending money. So I feel like there's a world of changes that just needs to happen with the shard itself. And until then, no, it's not going to be worth it to use resources and extra time in game to try to get them.
All right, so everybody has been calling for nerfs. I've been calling for a rebalance, but we have the Cadaver team. They finally addressed the issue like 2 months after, and they're nerfing Cadaver. The nerf is going to be, from what I understand, that he's not going to be able to grow his shield or the damage from his shield more than 200k. Do you think that was a good nerf, or was that just like a, I'm sorry to say, easy cop out?
I think, Polarium usually takes the easy way out. I think if it is, in fact, 200k damage limit on his A1, that is ridiculous. That is, significantly less than like 10% the max HP hit, nerf, or, well, I can't really say it's a nerf, but the limit that we have for enemy max HP champs, like that's almost half, right? Because if you think about enemy max HP champ like Nut or Acrizia hitting on, what is it, the head of
Mischief, I think it is, or is it the
not Mischief, the tanky one, that you get
oh
on Nightmare, you can hit it for 500k plus, right, per
right.
hit. And so 200k just seems a bit like they really just stuck a band-aid on it, right? And was like, here, this is just what it's gonna be. They didn't really try to figure out actual balance for the game mode, because the cadaver nerf isn't gonna do anything. Now people are gonna be crying for other nerfs because they still aren't going to be able to compete. I feel like this is more about being able to compete for people, and the cadaver nerf is only, the beginning of what we get from people just not being able to win. And I think that cadaver is not the issue. The issue is these people running these comps have been playing significantly longer or have invested significantly more time. They have significantly better gear than majority of the player base, and it does not matter which champions they choose to run. If they choose to run something, it is because they know they are going to win with it. And cadaver, like, it doesn't matter what champ. It could be cadaver, it's gonna be Trunda, it's gonna be Acrizia. If they nerf all of that, they're gonna find another way. People are going to find another way. The people that are committed to competing, to playing this game competitively, are not going to lose just because some champion gets nerfed. Why? Because at the end of the day, gear is what matters.
All right, so they also dropped a huge bombshell on us, telling us that we're going to be getting a new Mythical Fusion permanent. Now, the last time they did something like this was with Rosin, and that was a whole big issue then, right? That was years ago. We haven't seen anything like that come into the game. But I'm 99% sure that Lady Mikaj is going to be the Mythical Fusion that we're getting. What do you think? What are your expectations for it?
I think you're correct. She is definitely going to be the permanent fusion. I think that it is also going to be a bit difficult, right? Even the rosin fusion is not necessarily easy per se for someone just coming into the game, right? You have to farm the champions. There are some farmable rares. There are some rares that you do have to pull shards for, so you do have to wait, and then you have to train all those champs, right? People who've been playing the game, like, I don't think they're gonna have an issue doing this per se, just getting the champions. But I don't. Dude, the books, man. The books. I was thinking about the books. And she doesn't even take like a ton of books, right? She doesn't take a ton of books. The regular base only takes 4 books, right? The base
4 books
only takes
10
4
in
books.
total. 10 in total.
Yeah, which is not. I'm not upset at that at all. But I need a way to get these books. Like, I have a thing where my brain does not even allow me to use like unbooked champions.
Yep.
There are very few champions that can be used without booking them, right? There's a couple in the game that absolutely you don't need to book, but majority of other champions need to be booked, especially ones that have cooldowns. She has a cooldown for her ally attack. I need that booked if I'm gonna use her efficiently. So I'm happy that they are putting this in the game, right? It's another champion. We'll get a chance to get one, right? I've seen somebody say like this is a free mythical. This is a farmable mythical. Like, no, it's absolutely not that at all. It is not going to be a walk in the park to just get this champion for the average player.
Okay, so it's been a couple of years since like we've had some really good content, and the last of it was DOOMTOWER. And Cirilla said, we have something bigger than Doomtower. And I mean, Ash's response was on par, like, what? Doomtower by far has been one of the best contents in the game. Not because of just the rewards, but it's different. It changes week to month to month with the bosses. You know, everything we get from there is usable. From early game to mid game, there's multiple different levels. You know, if you're early, you know, below level 50, you can start working on some of the normal stuff. But I don't know, man. I think that this is going to be a big hype, and with the last two things they did, you know, Hydra Clash with Hydra and with Live Arena, I'm kind of worried that, you know, they're kind of putting their foot in their mouths. What do you think?
I think you know, how much different can the game get at this point, right? You know, we've seen the various types of gameplay that you can have in this game. So how different is it going to be from any of the bosses that we have, you know, any of the wave clearing that we already have, right? We've seen them switch over to Live Arena, that type of system. So I'm first, I want to know, like, how different is it going to be than what we already have in the game? Is it just going to be, you know, new mechanics, right? You need all empowerment. You need this. You need a mythical. Do you need this, right? Is it just going to be like that, adding more pay to win, you know, features to complete it? Or is it going to actually genuinely be something that is different, right? I would like for it to be something that is genuinely different, like a different way to use my champions, right? I want to possibly see them differently. And we kind of got that with Live Arena, but obviously once you get into the match, it looks the same as regular Arena, just a different, you know, background. But I want to see something genuinely different, because we know what it looks like when, you know, you put your champions in, they clear waves. We know what it looks like when you put your champions in and they go up against a boss. We know what it looks like when your champions are in Arena. So if it's bigger than Doomtower, I would like to see some different style of gameplay potentially.
All right, so part of this new content that they're going to drop out, we're going to get another mythical champion, a lot like Faction Wars, they said. So could it possibly be where, you know, we have to beat a certain amount of stages, put some fragments together, like they did with Quintus and stuff? You know, do you think that that's going to be a fair reward to get back as just that one mythical champion? Do you think Lydia was absolutely worth it when you got her?
Yes, I think Lydia was absolutely worth it. One mythical champion. I'm hoping there are other rewards as well. If the champion is a complete game changer, and if, you know, while trying to get that champion, I get some mythical books as well. I think that if the champion is anything like Lydia, contributes anything like Lydia did, it will be great. But that's saying a lot, because Lydia does so much. And I think without, you know, just simply giving us another decreased defense weakened champ, right? Because it's not like we really need another decreased defense weakened champ. It would have to be something spectacular. It would need to be like a reviver with a cleanse, block debuff, something, you know, with damage mitigation pass. It needs to be something crazy, bro. They need to like mesh Siphi and Duchess together in Arbiter and give us that. Like, it needs to be something like an S tier support or DPS, honestly.
All right, so the biggest pain in Arena has been this polymorph. Now they kind of nerfed it a little bit by making it require accuracy in the lower levels, but now they said that they're going to try to nerf it again. And they weren't really clear on how, but they said it would only be activated once per instance. Now, the way I understood that is you go in and only one champion is going to be able to activate it one time, or each one of your champions can only activate it one time. I don't know. Is that the right fix? Do you think they could have done something else instead of that?
I don't know, man. I don't honestly stress about polymorph in Arena anymore. I feel like I got so used to it because I was doing so much Arena before they even did the first nerf, and it's not something that I even stress about. I don't know that many people are even stressing about it anymore.
So, guys, we have had I think Fortis and Angar were one of the two worst Void legendaries, and they always left a bad taste in your mouth when you pulled one of them. And I actually just pulled a dupe Fortis like a week ago when there was 2x Voids, and I said, hey, might as well just go for it, and wasted my mercy on him. Maybe not anymore, but they now address the issue, saying that they're going to start going regularly back onto buffing some of these Vault Guardians we have, and the first one's going to be Fortis and Angar. Who would you like to see on that list coming up real quick?
I would say any of the free login champions for sure. Like, even like Gerda, right? Because Gerda has a decent-ish kit, right? Like, there's a ton of potential there. But I think it just needs, like, a little more. Yeah, any of the free login legendaries. I wish that Mighty Yuko, the condition on placing block buffs, I wish that there was no condition. So that's something I would like to see change, because I like using Mighty Yuko and Hydra.
Yep.
But it's a shame that like Yugo is just a better option, just because there's no condition on block buffs and you get decreased defense. But like, if Mighty Yuko didn't have a condition to place block buffs, with the A1 decrease attack, it would just make him so much more better. Like, so much more better. Because that condition sucks, man. After you kill the heads, they revive, they're automatically going to have a buff on them. So, if Blight revives, it's a wrap. They're going to put Poison Cloud up if Mighty Yuko is your only block buff champion. And I'm one of those people that don't have multiple Yugos because I was an idiot and I fed Yugos in the past. So,
okay, so one of the things that we all do, and Plarium likes to push as much as possible, is pulling those shards. Now, I don't know about you, man, but I've probably pulled like my fifth, what's his name called? Skull Crusher, and like I just feed him, and he's one of the most unique champions in the game, right? Because he brings full team out counterattack, but I gotta feed to just make room. And they're talking about no epic empowerments. What do you think about that? Like, come on. I mean, we've played Watcher of Realms, who actually will allow you to use the dupes to empower the champions, to awaken them. And like, why? Why can't we just do that? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that absolutely needs to change, right? Because there's so many, areas of content where epics could generate, they could be viable. They could actually be viable, but they just don't have, the base stats to do it, right? Empowerment could help you, get that up, make a lot more champions viable. And I think that is something that they just don't want to do. They want you to need to pull shards to get the champions that are better for the content, because there's a ton of epics that could very well be viable, right? If you had empowerment and you didn't have like the greatest gear, empowerment could help you, right? We're seeing a lot of epics being used in Hard Fire Knight right now. We got Stag Knight being used there, Fairkin, even Cold Heart Rare is being used there. At the end of the day, like, some of these champs have really great kits. They're just not, viable. The stats that you can reach just aren't great with them if you don't have the gear.
All right, so it's been a long time coming, man. I mean, you and I have both been playing for a very, very long time, and grinding dungeons one at a time just sucks. So when the invention of the super raids came in for just the fusions, everybody was psyched. And now we're going to get that year round. What do you think?
I think it's awesome, man. I think, obviously you still don't want to do it for CVC unless they make a change to CVC, how points are calculated. But I think it's amazing. It should have been happened. It should have happened a long time ago.
All right, so I don't know about you, but I finally gave up to do Shogun because I needed to, start farming some of the oils to get, a little bit better placement in Plat Arena.
Hmm.
Because the power creep is kind of real between my account and some of the end game ones. But anything I need I got to give my account the edge, right? So we've all been farming the Sand Devils and the Shoguns, and it feels like it kind of died off because once you ascend one piece, if it's garbage on the Ascension, then there's not much else you can do about it, right? So these dungeons start becoming dead unless you're one of the end game players that's spending 20, 30,000 energy. But now we're going to be able to re-roll the Ascension. Do you have any concerns about that?
I think if it's capped, kind of like how re-rolling gear is, right? So, you only get to re-roll a piece of gear one time. I think that it won't get out of hand. But I think obviously, anything that they add to the game is going to contribute to the power creep, right? Because the people who have significantly more money to spend on energy, on farming, have more gear. They have more ascended gear as well. And so, obviously they're going to have way more pieces that they're going to be able to reroll. So the odds of them getting, better gear than the average player is, it's a no brainer, right? If it is capped at one reroll, I think, that is fair.
Yeah, and that was my major concern too is, if they don't cap it, two at the very max, like for the bottom pieces, because there's so many things you could reroll to it. The top
Mm-hmm.
pieces you can only reroll once. I'm happy with that. Bottom pieces too, because if you're just able to reroll, unless the cost becomes exponentially increased to do each reroll, then fine. But it's one of those things where I'm like, then, everybody's going to get crit damage on crit damage gloves, crit damage on crit damage neck, speed on speed, and so on and so forth. And so I was kind of worried. All right, so the last and final thing that we're going to talk about today is the CVC that they're going to fix, right? Or quote unquote. Because now we're able, on the top end community, we are able to kind of figure out who we're going to go up against and kind of, make deals and stuff like that. And Players kind of said, okay, you know what, enough's enough. It's been 2 years and we need to finally address this. And I'm not really happy about it because we know that CVC is really more about credit card versus credit card. And yeah, it just, I don't like playing Wake Shadow Legends. I like playing Raid Shadow Legends. But what do you think about the implementation of their new system?
I think, it's interesting. I think it is them trying to put a band-aid on, you know, players at the top being able to see who they're going to go up against, right? Trying to do CVC strategically, because matchmaking is no longer going to be based on the final leaderboard, right? So we can't predict who we're going up against. We can't, you know, have any solid strategy other than, we need to do this amount of points on this day. We need to try to, have this amount of lead over our opponent, which kind of sucks because, our clan is very strategic about how we do CVC. We are a clan, in game. Everything that we do is based on clan stuff. We're not a PvP clan. We don't really push those things. We're very heavy into CVC. Our strategy is, very well put together. So it kind of sucks, right? But with the change, matchmaking, it still can be adjusted by changing your clan's roster, right? So you can still move people out of your clan and change match, like it will affect matchmaking in that way. We can't, like, I feel like we're gonna see clans do some different things.
All right, so we talked about a lot, and what are your thoughts about this? Announcement that was dropped. Are you excited for everything? Are you kind of skeptical, or are you gonna kind of like hands off, say back?
I'm excited, man. I'm always excited for new stuff in Raid. Whether I can complete it or not, it gives me something to do. It gives me new goals to set. So Yeah, I'm always excited when new things drop in, Ray, especially after that week of dead silence we had. So,
All right. Well, I always love having you on the channel, H-Dub, and I love to do shout outs. So, who do you got for me as a shout out?
today I'm going to be shouting out Final Kimpachi. Huge shout out to Kimpachi. He had a birthday recently. One of our fellow official content creators. So, huge shout out to him. He's doing accessible content. He's a free to play guy. He spent $14, but he's free to play. So, shout out to him, guys. Go check out his content and show him some support. He's been doing a great job.
Yeah, happy birthday to Final Kimpachi. Doesn't look a day over 21, with that little baby face. makes me look like I'm old enough to be his dad or grandpa or something, But yeah, we actually were doing the content creator clash, and man, I don't know if you got to watch his video, but he was on a hot streak. He's would not surprise me if he wins. I'm waiting for a couple more of the other submissions to come in and see what the final tally points are going to be. But yeah, if you haven't gotten a chance to watch it, go see what a free-to-play account can do in Gold Live Arena, guys. All right, man. Well, it's always been great to have you on. I appreciate you coming on the channel. Is there any final thoughts you want to let everybody have before I let you go?
Yeah, man, just thank you for having me, of course. It's always a pleasure. Thank you for taking the time out. I think we had a great conversation. So, I would love to see some people's thoughts down in the comments about, how are they feeling about it? Are they excited about the patch as well? Halloween should be exciting. Hopefully the Halloween Fusion is a solid champion. I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, thank you as always, man. It's a pleasure.
Awesome. I'm glad to have you on, man. You were my very first collab to have, and like I said, I still bounce that, that beat up and down those streets while I'm driving my big old brown truck. So
Raidzilla.
There we go, Raidzilla, baby. When are we gonna get a number 2?
Dude, I have no clue, man. Like the music scene in Raid is kind of dead now. People always ask me about, when am I doing another song, but it's no fun making music by yourself, honestly.
Okay. Any musicians out there, make sure you get him and start working on something. Oh. As always, guys, much love, much appreciation. Be safe, be well, be good to each other. We'll catch you guys next time.